Is that right, Mr. Crane?
It is, and we've seen that when companies get negative recommendations from the advice side, they'll immediately get a solicitation from the consulting side saying, hey, wouldn't you really like to have us help you out next year to avoid those negative recommendations from our friends down the hallway?
Yeah.
Pretty concerning fact pattern.
Will you pay the protection money? Will you pay the shakedown?
Exactly.
Holy cow, such a deal. Such a deal. And Ms. Minow was part of it all when she worked at ISS, is that right? The question wasn't for you, it's for Mr. Crane.
I understand that, but he doesn't know the answer, and I do.
Well, no, I wasn't asking you a question.
It is wrong. I did not allow
you might be able to do the
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Hot News Today, where we cut through the noise and break down the political moments that actually matter. And wow, the clip you just watched of Jim Jordan grilling witnesses about the proxy advisor Duopoly? That was something else. Right from the start, Jim Jordan exposed a massive concentration of power that most everyday Americans don't even know exists. You've got institutional investors and pension funds controlling over 80% of the market, and two companies, ISS and Glass Lewis, controlling 97% of the advice that decides shareholder votes. And according to the witnesses, those recommendations are followed 95% of the time. That's not influence, that's control. And the other side wants to pretend there's nothing to see here. Yeah, okay. This is exactly why hearings like this matter, and why voices like Jim Jordan stand out, because Jordan doesn't just take the talking points. Jordan digs in, calls out contradictions, and shines light on systems that are way too comfortable operating in the shadows. If you're new here and you want more reactions just like this, breakdowns, real talk, and zero fluff, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our uploads. Alright, let's get into the full breakdown.
Mr. Crane, what percentage of publicly traded equity shares are held by institutional investors and pension funds?
It's a very large percentage. I forget the exact number. It's north of 80, I believe.
80%? And because of that, most shareholder votes are cast through proxy voting because the shareholder can. Is that right?
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And proxy advisors advise or recommend to the institutional investors and the pension funds how they're supposed to vote. Is that right?
That's correct.
And is their advice followed?
Pardon?
Is their advice followed? Is the proxy advisor's advice typically followed by the institutional investors and the pension funds?
It's absolutely followed, and in many cases, their shares are automatically cast by the proxy firms in line with those recommendations.
So the institutional investors and pension fund are doing exactly what the proxy advisors did tell them.
That's exactly correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And who are the two largest again, who we've been talking about?
ISS and Glass Lewis.
ISS and Glass Lewis. And how much of the market do they control?
97%.
97% of the market, 80% of the shareholders, the equity shares are with institutional and pension investors, and their advice is followed 95% of the time.
That's essentially correct.
Wow, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. How much money are we talking about?
Trillions of dollars of equities across the market.
5 trillion, 20 trillion, 30 trillion, how much are we talking?
I don't know the size of the market, but it's a large number of the equity markets in the United States.
My understanding is it's at least $20 trillion. And
Sounds right to me.
And the other side says, nothing to look at here. Nothing to look at here, really. That seems like there's a lot to look at there, and that's why we're having this hearing. Now, what kind of advice? So their advice is followed 95% of the time, 70% of the market, over $20 trillion. What kind of advice are they giving?
It's advice on everything that comes before shareholders. It's how the company is run, how the executives are paid, the shareholder proposals that have been discussed. It's everything that comes before the shareholder base for a vote.
What kind of advice are they given in a political context?
We know that ISS, for example, recommended in favor of more than 80% of ESG shareholder proposals in
pro-ESG, pro-DEI?
As a general rule, yes. Not 100% of the time, but yes, as a general rule.
Vast majority of the time?
I would say yes.
Okay, so kind of leaning to the left, right?
I think that's probably a fair characterization.
Their advice is followed 95% of the time. They have 90% of the market. 70% are they're given advice to, and it's always, almost always, left wing.
I think that's a fair characterization, yes.
Is that how you see it, Mr. Egan?
I have no reason for disagreeing with that.
What about you, Mr. Griffin?
I think that while it varies by year, and we've seen sort of swings with somewhat mirroring the political election cycle,
is that an accurate picture? Is that an accurate
overall,
framework?
Overall.
Okay. Now, but that's not the end of it, is it? Because it's even worse. Because this duopoly not only offers proxy advisor services, but consulting services as well.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so you can go consult with them before they give you the recommendations that are always followed. And if you don't consult with them, they might give you recommendations that in many ways harm the company and therefore harm the shareholders. Is that right, Mr. Crane?
It is, and we've seen that when companies get negative recommendations from the advice side, they'll immediately get a solicitation from the consulting side saying, hey, wouldn't you really like to have us help you out next year to avoid those negative recommendations from our friends down the hallway?
Yeah.
Pretty concerning fact pattern.
Will you pay the protection money? Will you pay the shakedown?
Exactly.
Holy cow, such a deal. Such a deal. And Ms. Minow was part of it all when she worked at ISS, is that right? The question wasn't for you, it's for Mr. Crane.
I understand that, but he doesn't know the answer, and I do.
Well, no, I wasn't asking you a question.
It is wrong. I did not allow
You might be able to do the consulting
ISS.
services and the
I did not
recommendations.
allow ISS to do consulting when I was
What does ISS do
president.
consulting now?
ISS does do consulting
Well,
now,
Shazam,
and
there
they're-
you have it. There you have it. My question, the way it works is the members get to ask the questions and to the people they want to give the answers. My question was to Mr. Crane. I appreciate you jumping in, Ms. Minow, and telling us that ISS does now offer consulting services in addition to the proxy advisor thing, which is the problem. Which is, well, not the full problem, but certainly part of the problem. Is that right, Mr. Crane?
I would agree with that, yes, sir.
And then you can even go maybe one step further and say on the platform, no competition's allowed, which I sort of get Ms. Minnow's argument on the Amazon issue, I sort of get, but it's almost like they got this thing rigged from start to finish and it's two companies. And the other side says, nothing to look at here. Well, I think that's kind of ridiculous. And I appreciate the chairman and his work on this important issue. With that, I yield back.
Chairman yields back.
All right, now that we've watched the entire exchange, let's talk about what just happened, because Jim Jordan didn't just ask a few questions. Jordan pulled the curtain back on one of the most undemocratic, unregulated power structures in corporate America. First off, the numbers alone are jaw-dropping. Jordan laid it out. 80% of publicly traded equity shares are in the hands of institutional investors and pension funds. That means everyday shareholders, normal people, are barely voting. Instead, those votes are funneled through proxy advisors. And who are those advisors? ISS and Glass Lewis. That's it. A literal duopoly controlling 97% of the entire proxy advising market. Jordan pushed the witnesses, and they confirmed it. These two companies' recommendations are followed around 95% of the time. Think about that. Two private entities influencing over $20 trillion in shareholder value. That's not oversight. That's not guidance. That's control over corporate America on a level most people have no clue exists. Then Jordan goes deeper. What kind of advice are these firms giving? According to the testimony, ISS supported over 80% of ESG proposals in 2023 and heavily pushes DEI agendas. That means tens of thousands of companies are being steered in a political direction, not necessarily a business direction, because these advisors lean one way. And when Jordan called that out, none of the witnesses disagreed. Jordan called it exactly what it is, a left-leaning influence pipeline baked right into the shareholder voting process. But the biggest bombshell Jordan exposed was the conflict of interest. Not only do ISS and Glass Lewis give the advice, they also sell consulting services to the very companies they grade. And if a company doesn't hire them? According to witness testimony, ISS might give them a negative recommendation, and then the consulting arm reaches out to offer help fixing the very problem their friends down the hallway just created. Jordan wasn't exaggerating when Jordan compared it to a shakedown. That's exactly what it sounds like. Pay the protection money, or we tank your shareholder vote. And then comes the moment everyone's talking about. Ms. Mo jumps in without being asked, trying to challenge the implication, only to end up admitting that ISS does consulting right now. Jordan kept total control of the exchange, clarified the rules, and used her own words to reinforce his point. This is one of those hearings where Jim Jordan's style works perfectly. Jordan is sharp, Jordan is focused, and Jordan refuses to let witnesses muddy the waters. Jordan painted the full picture, a political, financial, and structural monopoly that affects trillions of dollars and millions of Americans, and the other side still claims there's nothing to look at. Yeah, right. This is why hearings like this matter. and why Jim Jordan continues to be one of the strongest oversight voices in Congress. Jordan digs where others don't, and every time Jordan does, something like this gets exposed. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going, because sunlight is the best disinfectant, and Jim Jordan brought plenty of it today.